What up, everybody? So I just came back home from seeing All Eyez on Me. I was really excited to watch this film. I'm a huge Pac fan. I mean, I got all of his songs. I've even remixed a couple of his songs because that's how much I like him. I've seen all his documentaries, seen all the interviews that he did over the years, read all the conspiracy theories and the 7-day theory and the Machiavelli. So yeah, I'm a huge fan. And like I said, for a little bit, I kind of believed potential that he did obviously live. He didn't die. So when this movie came out, like many other millions of people who love his music and obviously are really big fans of Tupac, I was excited to see it, and I was hoping that this film was going to have really good quality film. Like I'm talking about like recently we had the Notorious B.I.G. movie, so the Biggie Smalls film, and that was pretty good. That was really entertaining. It was a really good story. The way they did it was brilliant. Then we had the N.W.A. movie, Straight Outta Compton. That was brilliant. That was a really great film. And you were thinking that this film has been in production for over 12 years. You're thinking like I followed this film when Stallone was one of the producers and he wanted to do it, and he couldn't, and like he kept on passing on until it finally hit it. And then for everybody who knows, Dimitri Ship Jr. I'm just looking up on IMDb. He was casted in 2005. So he was casted in 2000. He talks about it on one of the shows, but he was casted in 2005. So this film has had such a prolonged and should have had such an extensive time frame of getting all the perfect details just correct. And then like when I saw this film, I couldn't believe how shit it was. And I'm being honest with you guys. Like honestly, I do feel like anybody who watches this film is terrible. So what I did before I obviously made this, I wrote my review on IMDb and I did it on other sites. Just obviously because I feel like it has to. Like I give, just to point of fact, I hated Jurassic World, and my review was top 100 things that didn't make sense in Jurassic World. And I think I still gave it like 5 or 6 out of 10 stars because it was entertaining. But we were talking about like in the top 100 things, I think it was like, babysitter would prefer to be on the phone and looking after the kids, or there is no cameras, or there's an open door where the things that rotate, whatever. Anyway, so even though I didn't like Jurassic World, I still gave it a good star. I had to give this 2 stars, and like it was terrible. So then like I went on YouTube and started like looking up reviews to see what other people talked about it. And look, I think I agree with 50 Cent. Like everybody expected this movie to be good, and it was just shit. Then Napoleon came out, and he came out and said before the film to one of the outlaws, saying that he wasn't part of the film. And then when he found out that no one from Shakur's family actually, they're not allowed to talk about it because of a lawsuit, but none of them actually give their blessings or even say it's a good film. And that's when you have to kind of think about it. Then Jada Smith came out, and she said that most of her scenes with Shakur were fake, were lies. None of it happened. He never read her poem. She never backstage. They never had an argument. And so literally the scenes with her in it were lies. And like what the hell? It doesn't make sense. I mean, I write films and I watch millions of films. I watch a lot of films, obviously, as any review does. But it doesn't make sense. How can someone get it so wrong and so badly? So, as an example, what I feel is terribly wrong with the film. First of all, the movie's terrible. The acting in some parts are good. The best, obviously, acted is the guy that plays Snoop Dogg because he so much looks like him. He's just incredible. But yeah, that was the funniest part of the film, to be honest. But like, the film's story doesn't make sense. It starts off in prison where Tupac's been interviewed, and then it cuts to these random scenes which have no bearing on the story that the interview is trying to tell. Not only that, but it has no bearing on the story that the film is trying to tell. It is literally these just random scenes that are put in for no reason whatsoever. Like there is a scene where Afeni tells an FBI guy off, and obviously that leads to saying like how like Tupac's family was a part of the Black Panthers, and how his stepdad was on the Black Panther movement, and how he was one of the FBI's most wanted people. But then we get another scene with it, and it has no bearing to Tupac. Like after that, we wouldn't hear anything back about his stepdad or Tupac's relationship with stepdad. So what was the point in showing that Pac had to move because FBI came in Christmas and they were looking for his dad, and there was no other bearings and no other interviews. Like Park doesn't talk about in the film. Park doesn't talk about his stepdad a lot, or if he had any influence, or if he saw it, he looked up and he's like, oh, well, he was accused of bank robbery, or he's a Black Panther. None of that doesn't make sense. Then like we have these random scenes in school. They had this one scene in school where Tupac gets the lead role for Hamlin. And obviously, I've seen a lot of Tupac documentaries, and I've read about Tupac, and I know that he loved acting, he loved Shakespeare. But that one scene doesn't tell you that. That one scene, because it had Jada in it, so it kind of makes it, did he do acting for acting, or he did it to impress Jada and maybe get laid with her? Because throughout the film, it kind of like just to play on a storyline that there's something there, like more maybe like they were like having a relationship, and maybe because he moved away or whatnot, or were they just friends? So this film has a lot of unnecessary scenes that don't attribute to the overall story of the film. Then out of nowhere, like literally we jump from that to like him reading a poem which Jada said never existed. He never read it to her until it appeared in his book, in his autobiography book, when he left for LA. And she said that he never left. She never told him. He never told her that he left for LA. It was an abrupt move. It wasn't to follow his career. So why would the storyteller, the writer and director, even bother putting it in, or not even bother to check these things? I mean, this isn't like you're not making a fictional story. You are retelling someone's life. If you do it correctly, like this whole film made Park look like an idiot, a pussy, a coward, gullible, and not a leader. Like there wasn't a single moment where I was like, "That's Tupac." Like the only kind of then out of nowhere they have the scene where he's crossing the road. There was no setup to it. Literally, like he's talking to the interviewer. Boom, it goes him crossing the road. It says New Orleans, the year. The police stop him and they're like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "What the fuck you want?" And then they start to arrest him. And he says you can't arrest him for jaywalking, because he starts to give the code or the act, and they belt him up. And that was it. That was his jaywalking scene, and that's a big deal, because like Tupac said that they pulled him up because they knew that he was Tupac, and because he did gangster rap. He said that they did it on purposely, and they beat him up on purposely, and that trial went for a couple of years, and he ended up getting 40 grand for it. And then and all of that kind of like, they didn't do anything. They didn't make it look like it was an attack on him. They just made it look like as if Park was obviously talking back to the cops, and the cops were trying to do their job. Well, like, the cops didn't even know who he was when they arrested him, put it that way. So with that kind of scenes, like, what was the point of it? Like, you didn't really tell the story. You didn't really show him, I guess, prosecuting black people. You didn't really do anything within that scene, and that scene didn't lead anywhere else. Same with every other scene in this film that's in the time frame when the prison interview was going on. And then after that, we have like when Park meets the characters in the story. So when he meets Interscope, he doesn't question anybody, and like this is coming from Park was an intelligent guy. He was a super smart guy, which everybody says. Like anybody who met him, they said that Park was a very smart, very philosophical guy who likes to read. None of that was shown. None of it. Like he meets Interscope guys, and he says like, "Well, you have like I'm real because I talk about the streets. Let's make a deal." No negotiations. Then obviously they screw him over. He meets this other guy, Nigel, and all of a sudden they're best friends. He meets Biggie, they're best friends. There was no lead up to how they met. There was no lead up on how they evolved this friendship. There's no lead up about East and West Coast. The East and West Coast, the whole rivalry, non-existent. He meets Nigel. Biggie and his accountant warn him. He goes, "Fuck them both. He's my best friend." Boom, some shit happens. He meets Suge Knight. Biggie and his accountant warn him, and other people warn him. He's like, "Screw it, fuck it, whatever." Boom, he's best friends with Suge Knight. So one guy tells him off, he kind of goes down. Some guy in prison tells him off, he kind of goes down. Then out of nowhere, he hears he gets shot. He gets shot, and straight away they make it look like as if he's thinking it's Biggie, but in the film they're saying that someone else did it. So they're kind of like conflicting. They're not sure if they want to, obviously, as a director, not sure, should we point it toward maybe Biggie, because obviously people thought that Biggie set him up, and then the song came out, "Who Shot Ya?" But then they're like, maybe we don't want to piss off the Biggie fans, so let's put it that someone else shot him, but he thought that it was Biggie, like in real life. Maybe that did happen, whatnot. And so like he gets manipulated in the whole film. Park was getting manipulated by everybody. Like there wasn't a single moment where he was like, "Oh shit, I see through your bullshit." And this is the guy that said like, "Realize he realized." How the hell can you have a film about, I guess, a revolutionary, a philosophical thinker like Park, and make him seem like such an idiot, make him seem like such a gullible person who believes that anybody's trying to help him? It was just retarded. Like they glossed over the whole how did Dr. Dre get out of death row. It got glossed over on how Suge Knight owed Park money, and Park wanted to leave. Like literally the whole thing. Like Park wants to leave. Suge Knight says you can't leave. Park says okay, I'm fine with that. There was not like Park in this film avoided conflict like no one else, which is like incredible. Like it does not make sense whatsoever. So this movie is flawed on every essence. It's flawed as a documentary because it's lies, it's false. People have come out and said that these things didn't happen. It's flawed as a storytelling movie because there are scenes in it that just don't make sense and that don't go with the story. There is no introduction. They have no added meaning, value, or they can't even be used as filler. That's the worst part of it because they're not even entertaining fillers. Like you sit in there and you're bored. Like legitimately, the funniest film, the only time when we kind of laughed and we enjoyed the film was when we saw Snoop Dogg, because the guy looked ridiculously not like Snoop Dogg with this fake afro like this. Speaking of fake, when Park shoots the cops, whoever used the After Effects for that shot, when Park gets down on one knee, he gets down on one knee, and they made it kind of look such a big deal out of it, and then he fires, and there is so much yellow, they overused that, and it looks like not even 1980s films look like that. It looks like a short movie that someone did at home back in the early 2000s when like you can just start making your own short films with a really crap quality and you don't know what you were doing. That's how it looked. And I was like, what the hell? Like, legitimately, that got into the film. It was so bad. Like, I'm just trying to think, were there any really good moments in the whole film? No, there wasn't. They got this. They got a lot of the songs were not even the right order. They got a lot of songs mixed up from the years that they were released in. And then halfway through, when they listened to some songs, some of these songs, people came out and they said they're from like late 90s after Pac died. You can't even look up when a song was made, so you can't even make a song relative to the year of the film. Like your film is set between essentially like a lot of the film is set between 91, 96, 5-year gap, and you have songs from 99 and 2000, 2001. How the hell in the world is that happening? Like legitimately. Obviously someone as a joke wrote, "Oh, I walked out when Faith and Park took a selfie on an iPhone." I wouldn't be surprised if they did that in the film because that's how bad this film was. Obviously, there's a lot of things that don't make sense in the film, like I said, and there's a lot of things where it just makes Park look bad. Look, as if you want to see a really good Park film, my only thing is like go watch Tupac Resurrection 2003. That's a brilliant documentary which has a start, a story, and an end, and it flows. There isn't just it doesn't feel like you're watching just some random crap videos, home crap videos that I don't know your grandpa did in the 1960s, which don't make sense. Like, oh look, here is Jimmy at 3 years old. Here's Jimmy at 30. Here's Jimmy at 7. Here's Jimmy at 30. Here's Jimmy at 9. And you're like, who the fuck is Jimmy? Like Jimmy's not a part of a family. That's literally what you're watching when you see Tupac. All Eyez on Me. So yeah, so like I said, this film is terrible and. Do everyone a favor, don't watch it, but review it down on IMDb so that the people who made it are aware of it. I mean, they should be aware of it. Like, honestly, if I made a film like this, I would come out and I said, like, we tried, but we fucked up. These people are saying that's a good film, which is the annoying and shit part of it. Like, have the decency to say that you screwed up, because like no one from Park's family actually has come out and said this is a good film, and that should be the biggest signal of telling you that this film sucks and this film is a lie. Like, I applaud Jada for coming out and say that it's all lies in the film, and then the audacity of the producer to come out and say, why did you do what you did? Because she was jealous, because they were trying to portray a story of the Holy Trinity of who Pac was, who he wanted to be, and who he was seen as. That's such a lie, because he portrayed Pac, like I said, as a gullible, idiotic, cowardly boy. Not a revolutionary, philosophical very philosophical, intelligent man or leader, and that's the truth. That's honestly the truth. Best of luck, everybody.